Dum, 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 dum,
Space between, space between, space between. Space between.
Hey, what's going on? It's the Space Between podcast where we talk about the space between life and art, passion and business, what's happening now and what's happening next. I'm Pat Shand.
And I'm Shannon Lee.
She's back up in the house.
I'm back.
Listen. Amy, my wife, is not here today, but she'll be, for those who supported the Afterglow Kickstarter, you'll see her beautiful face on the 3-part documentary, The Making of Afterglow. And why am I talking so much about Afterglow in the first few seconds of this podcast, do you ask?
Because it's the Afterglow podcast.
This is the Afterglow podcast. We're going to be doing an audio commentary. Me, writer and creator, and Shannon Lee, editor of Afterglow.
Mm-hmm. It's true. That's what's going on.
Yeah, we launched this book on Kickstarter in April. I'll get some plane action. Wow. Hey, plane, be closer, you know? God damn. We launched Afterglow as a Kickstarter in April or May of last year. Mm-hmm. And it was funded thanks to the amazing backers, as well as thanks to the beautiful art of Caitlin Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Amazing artist. So happy to have her join us for this book. And I should grab the second cover. Should I?
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't see us, you know.
Okay.
I guess I'll start by talking about how why we chose Caitlin Smith for this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How this came about, this
Right.
pairing.
Yeah, because mostly what we do with a lot of our books, I mean, we spoke about this process on Prison Witch, is that we'll come up with the concept and some script, you know, the characters, and based on that, we'll open submissions and then artists will test on there, you know. But with Afterglow, that was not the case.
No, this was done backwards.
Yeah.
We saw Kaylin's art first for her book called Plume.
Oh, yeah.
Which did incredible on Kickstarter, too.
Yep.
It was a hit. And we wanted to make something for her, pretty much.
Absolutely,
to create with us.
Yeah, I mean, every aspect of the book really leans into, I think, that what she does best. I mean, honestly, most of our books are black and white. And this is not, and that's for a reason. You know?
We knew it had to be color.
Yeah. We had it as black and white for like a week, and then I messaged Shannon like, I think we gotta do color, you know, for Caitlin.
For sure.
And, Shannon 100% agreed, and then I talked to Caitlin Smith, and she agreed too. And now we have the book as it is here.
Yes.
I wish that you guys could see what's going on here, though, because our cat Neil, who is a dead ringer for Afterglow's After, the giant cat, is coming up onto the couch to fight Shannon's hoodie. But yeah,
God,
Neil is in many of our videos, so if you want to check out our other videos to see how this beautiful Lynx Point Siamese looks in real life, the cat that inspired Afterglow.
Yeah, we should start by fully saying, that the cover of Afterglow has our main character riding After,
Yes.
who is basically Neil.
Yeah, he's a giant Lynx Point Siamese cat with glowing radioactive markings on top of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's check out the back of the book too. And like, I'll read you the concept to lure in any readers who have not yet given it a chance. Neil's going in right now.
Neil is inside my shoe. Like, his whole face is in the shoe.
Big time foot fetish.
Yeah.
That part didn't carry over into the book because it's a young adult book, you know. But
we needed to have that foot scene.
I should have had that, you know. So the book says, 100 years ago, an event called the Glowing ended the world as we know it, leaving the survivors with an Earth that has been changed. Water is radioactive, animals have mutated, and the world has been painted with beautiful, dangerous, glowing colors. I'll chime in here. The reason that this became the book it was, a post-apocalyptic adventure, was I was trying to think of reasons to make cats gigantic. I wanted, that's really it, you know? And through it, that led us to come up with the thought that so much post-apocalyptic fiction is like dreary and gray and brown. So why not create an apocalypse that ends the world in beautiful, dazzling color?
Yeah, and we haven't done that yet with Space Between to have a apocalyptic type of event.
Right.
And I mean, we can't help but say that there are tons of them out there.
Yeah,
We did jump on the bandwagon, but we did it in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that when we tackle genres that are well explored, we look for areas that have yet to be uncovered.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And that's weird because it's supposed to be disastrous,
Yeah.
but yet it's lighthearted in certain ways.
Yes.
It does bring the feels, though. It does.
It does, but Shannon's right, because we decided to make the events of the book happen years after the actual apocalyptic event.
Yeah, there was a pretty much a threat for another thing happening again.
Yeah.
But the main apocalyptic thing has happened already.
Right. And Neil's coming into my lap. He knows we're talking about him, you know?
Yeah, he has to be the star of the show because, I mean, he is.
My buddy. So listen, it's very much a book for animal lovers, for cat lovers specifically. But it's also, it's about the idea that sometimes the world moves on and some people embrace what it's become while others sort of dwell in the past and try to keep the world back. And just the last update on Neil before I exile him, he's trying to suck on his leg again.
Yeah.
And you'll hear a sound that, I mean, to me, it's like the music of the angels, you know. It's Neil sucking his leg. He's a sweet boy, you know. There's no sweeter sound than Neil's lips smacking against each other, you know.
And this part did make it into the book.
Oh yeah, we actually had after the character nurse on his own leg, because the truth is that Neil was abandoned or taken from his mother at too early an age.
Yeah.
And the same happens to the actor here.
Yeah.
But Neil, love you so much. Your mouth is so wet, but I'm gonna have to let you go so I can speak to the people. We're gonna dive into the commentary. I'll say here that if you have not yet read Afterglow, go to Amazon for the paperback or Comixology for the digital issues and read up. You can follow along with us, but we are about to spoil everything.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
Oh yeah, and we have our dedications to start with. Caitlin Smith and I independently pretty much dedicated this to cats, fur babies,
Yeah.
pets. I dedicated it specifically to my cats, and then I expanded saying for every cat, they are better than us all. Believe that for sure. And then Caitlin Smith's dedication, short and sweet, for all the fur babies. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, the prologue is called The Future. The future's not ours to see.
Mm-hmm. All right, so right away, the chapter breaks are awesome. I love that the chapter breaks are different colors and we have a silhouette of some type of scene that happens within the chapter.
Yes. Because with some of our books, we let the chapter break just be a single page and then start the story on the flip side. But with this, we wanted to add that design element to really flesh it out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we start with a flashback of a moment that's happening with the mother.
Yes, Lacey and her mom.
Did we say her mom's name?
In here, I don't know if we did. I think later on we do.
I can't remember if we named the mom.
It's in the script for sure, but I'm not sure.
But Lacey's mom is no longer
yes,
with us?
Correct. Her name is May, and the father's
May.
name Nathaniel, yeah.
Okay.
And that's actually, I did Nathaniel as a nod to my favorite series, 6 Feet Under.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so it starts with May and Lacey. May is a painter, and we see, essentially, she's telling a young Lacey the story of of the end of the world through her paintings.
Yeah.
She's created sort of this serial killer-esque room where things are all strung together, you know?
Yeah. And this is the first time in any of our books that we did a spread image across 2 pages.
Yes.
We've done splash pages, which would be 1 full page.
Correct.
But a full open up poster-like page we haven't done before.
Yeah, it's true. And I'll go into a bit of my reasoning behind not doing that at first.
Yeah.
Our books are generally very dialogue heavy, and I thought that double page spreads look better in single issue comics form than in trade, because in the trade paperback, a bit of the middle of the spread is swallowed up by the spine.
Yeah.
But we did it in a way where that doesn't really matter here, you know?
No, it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't affect the image.
Yeah.
And it definitely draws you into the room with them while it's happening.
Right.
This conversation. So yeah, the mom, May, has images across the wall and is telling Lacey about the end of the world, pretty much.
Right. And you see on May's face she has a scar, and that is tied to what is being spoken of in the next scene as a possible mental illness as a result of the glowing, the event that ended the world as we know it. But the way that May sees it is that she sees more. You know, she has a bit of a psychic thing going on.
Yeah. She's definitely special. And her daughter grows up then knowing that
yes.
her mom had an intuition about more than just what happened to her.
Yeah, and we get the sense in this next scene that Lacey's dad isn't the biggest fan of May scaring her before bed with these kind of cryptic stories. But it's in a very caring way, you know. He doesn't seem dismissive of his wife. He seems more like he's trying to make sure everyone's okay.
He loves her, but it's that parent moment of like, I think we're telling our kid too much. Like they're not adult enough to be handling this type of stuff. Like let her just be a kid. Exactly. But for Lacey's mother, she also wants to prepare her and doesn't want to keep her kid in the dark.
Right. Oh, and then as this happens too, we see a flash outside of what's going on outside. One, we see other giant animals like this giant alligator and this giant pug.
Yeah.
The pug is very cute. And then we go into the woods and see for the first time this character that will sort of haunt our characters for the remainder of the book, who has no name currently, but it appears to be a winged cat who is screaming out in either rage or pain. We don't yet know.
Yeah. All right, so everyone was going to bed, but Lacey gets woken up by a loud bang.
Yes.
And it's actually that creature that Pat was saying is breaking into the house. And I mean, like, literally breaking the walls open with its strength and power. And Lacey pretty much goes running, looking for the rest of her family and for help. And
yeah, it's a straight on action scene. You know, we had a few different versions of this where we had Caitlin Smith add a panel here that actually shows the foot of the cat coming in, and we wanted to keep this creature in silhouette. So it's hard throughout the whole story to have this character in silhouette interacting with the characters without really revealing how this character looks. But I think that Caitlin Smith did a great job keeping this scene sort of cloaked in darkness while still clear to us.
Agreed. And this part almost reads like a silent film because we can feel the fear and the emotion of this attack going on just by the panels. We can tell that she's scared and running, even though all that's happening is just noises pretty much.
Yeah, and then we start to get some better looks at this creature and just see how large it is, how powerful. But we're still very much in the dark as to what's happening. It seems at this point like a random attack.
Yeah, it seems very random. All they did was go to bed at night, and then all of a sudden, Lacey gets kind of knocked out. When she comes to, she ends up finding her parents, but they are like Firefly. Pretty much stabbed through the heart.
Yeah, we definitely see pretty much what happened to poor Hoban Washburn.
Yeah.
Has happened to Lacey's father, and her mother maybe seems to have been hit on the head and maybe just crushed a little bit. We didn't want the image to be too gory because this is a book that, while we wrote it for young adults, the truth is that we do think that this is an all ages book too. You know,
for sure.
Kids could enjoy it, and it's very much meant for adults too. You know, it's one of those books. And I say this about CLONSTERS too, that when we create all ages books, we do that in the truest sense of the word. They really are for all ages. I feel that any adult would read this and not feel like they're reading a kid's book.
Yeah, I agree. Lacey, after seeing such a morbid image, does run out of the house and comes to find a kitten just outside.
I love this panel. On the page where she finds After, the first panel where the tears are streaming down her face, the way that Kaylin Smith has captured the trajectory of the tears and how they kind of outline her face is beautiful.
Yeah, and I love After's just pure innocence.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just a lost kitten out here in the world, that's all.
And at this point, After is not huge. We chose to make him a bit bigger than a normal adult kitten would be, but the truth is he's a newborn here.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he begins sucking on his own foot.
Yeah.
She holds him, and as he does suck on his own foot, and as this is pretty much symbolic for him embracing Lacey as his mother.
Yeah.
As she holds him, his markings on his head light up for the first time.
That's comfort.
Absolutely.
In a way. Like he's already thankful that she's there pretty much and feels better.
I want to read his sound effects out loud just so you can see how hard it is to really capture this sucking sound. I wrote slurp, suck, 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 nibble, suck, slurp, purr. And big kudos to Jim Campbell, our letterer, who will make he manipulates it in a way that looks like sound, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like I just wrote some
weird shit, yeah.
You know?
Oh my God.
Now, actually, before we do move on, let's go back to this page right here. I do want to just say there's a line between May and Nathaniel that I don't know what it is, but it's how perceptive she is of the future. She knows what's coming. He comes to her and says that she should go to bed. It's time to rest. And she says, yes, it's time to rest. And she means that they're going to die. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, like she knows that. And she thanks him so much for loving her. And in this scene between them, you can see how loving they both are and how she is not... She's letting him have this one night of comfort, knowing she knows what's going to come, but she doesn't burden him with that same fear, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, that's why she spoke to Lacey probably specifically now before bed, because it's her last time too, and she must have known.
Yeah. And then we cut ahead years in chapter 1, The Girl Who Scoops. That is a slight reference to Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a speech that Walter White gives when his wife finds out what he's doing and he's producing meth, and she says, what if they come for you and they just knock on the door, show up, and he's like, what if they come for me? I'm the one who knocks.
Ooh.
You know? So Lacey is
the one who scoops.
The girl who scoops.
Nice.
And this is actually the first chapter that we worked on. The prologue was created after most of the pages for this, you know, because we always intended to do a prologue, but we wanted the Kickstarter pages, which we show early, to reflect Lacey and After as they're going to look for the main story.
Yeah.
Older. So, yeah.
So this chapter starts with Lacey is reading in her mother's journal pretty much.
Yeah, it's like a visual journal.
Yeah, it's because she was a painter and she would, paint out the images of what she expects to be happening in the future.
You know what I just realized?
What?
Lacey's mom made a comic book.
Oh, shit.
Right?
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, it's images and text, yo.
Yeah. So what she's reading on the page says, "The sun will know the acid is coming. It will make a shadow of 3 as an omen." And
maybe Lacey's father was right. That shit is pretty scary.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Lacey's interrupted by... Should we call them what they are?
Yeah, our backers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They are images of our backers, but they're basically like a vigilante type of crew.
Yeah, they're like looters. Yeah. They go from town to town, and
you could tell looking at them. You're like, they're sketchy motherfuckers.
Yeah, but you know what's true though? When we that's true, but when you turn the page and see the rest of the town, some of them are pretty shabby too, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true.
What made me think of this one though was these guys are essentially casing the town. Like they go from town to town, they spend a day there and like get a lay of the land. And what made me think of this scene was not only this does happen, people do like quote unquote case the joint, you know, but I remember there was this guy back when I worked at McDonald's. We had this burger called the Angus burger. Okay. This one guy there, skinny dude, would come there and eat 4 Angus. You stay there 4 hours, okay?
Oh my God.
And I told my dad about it, and the point was that, this skinny dude eats mad burgers.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, I think he's casing the joint. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not. He's just hungry. You know?
Oh my God.
So yeah, there's my little tangent.
So, well, like Pat was just saying, everyone in the town kind of looks a little bit shabby.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing here is that Lacey has her own table set up, much like a convention.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she's trying to sell very brightly colored clothing, or other, items. But she is using the acidity of this new world to her advantage. She is not scared to touch the chemicals in the world, to embrace them. She's going to the rivers and the lakes and she's hand dyeing her own materials.
Exactly, yeah.
And everyone else in the town thinks that is weird as hell.
Yeah, so does this one-eyed looter.
Yeah.
She says, I'll give you this. You match your merchandise. You know that? Loud, off-putting, and probably infective.
Ooh, burn.
Burn! And then Lacey tells her that she smells like pungent armpits. And yeah, that's...
the disses.
Yeah, just the disses are flying. We sort of wanted a very specific dialogue style for Lacey. She goes on these long rants and she speaks like no one. She speaks like she's half very immature, but she's also very confident. Everyone's laughing as they walk away from her and she goes, hey, what's so funny? That's a good shirt right there. Like, you're so awesome anyway. Who are you, huh? You smell like armpits. I wasn't going to say anything because you've been traveling and all, but armpits. Pungent armpits. And she takes this descriptive style of speaking, both for her disses and for the way that she goes on about her love for her son, the cat after.
Yes.
But yeah, then she has a little pride flag to close her shop that no one's buying from.
No. She ends up, in all of this going on, seeing 3 shadows of herself casted down from the sun, pretty much.
Yes. Which confirms her mother's journal prophecy.
Yeah.
And Lacey's reaction is not fear, but instead she seems very excited.
Yeah, pure joy.
She was right, Because you'll see in the next couple of scenes that everyone around kind of discounts Lacey. They know about her mother, and they just kind of think that she's like a loon.
Oh, yeah, for sure. In the next page, we see where Lacey lives, and it is a towering very obnoxious building in the center of town.
Especially compared to the other.
Oh, yeah. Because she needs to fit after inside.
Yes.
So it needs to be huge.
Yes.
She has this very fun-looking spiral slide that she can come down on.
Yeah, it's very like, it's a mixture of the play area at Burger King and Las Vegas.
Yeah, right.
So here we meet Sherbet. And I just want to ask you this. I remember when we first were designing Sherbet, all
you did was tell me the name, and I was like, Sherbert?
Yeah, and you said we have to change that. So I want to ask you now, have you come around?
Oh, 100%.
Nice, okay, cool.
I love the name. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. I think that's totally who she is. Yeah. It was kind of this moment of, she's Cordelia, you know, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, and like she's a little stuck up, has a weird name, popular.
Yeah. Like, my thought with her is like, in our era, I feel like a Kim Kardashian would have always become who she's going to be.
Yeah.
In this world, what happens to a 19-year-old Kim Kardashian?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens to her. Yeah, she becomes stuck up, and she's obsessed with her glowing up party that's coming up. But she, too, she does not embrace the color. Only Lacey does. She also looks down on Lacey, who seems to idolize her for some reason.
They're peers. I mean, maybe Sherbet's a little bit older.
I'd say like 1 year or so older.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, in a town where there's not that many people anymore, them being peers, you would expect them to be friends because there's not too many people to be your friend.
It's true.
But she thinks Lacey's pretty annoying and weird. But Lacey wants her attention, which I think is super cute, which we see even later on. It's kind of this teetering thing of like, does Lacey have a crush on her, or does Lacey just strive for her friendship and attention?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely wrote it to raise flags about crush, especially later on for sure, you know?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Afterglow exists as a standalone story, but we might dip back, you know?
We could.
Who knows, you know? There might be more Afterglow in the future. And that leaves us to the Night Court here. Probably the second biggest building in town.
Yeah, and it's really cool. It's kind of like wearing a gnome hat. It's just this big, pointy spike building. And of course, there has to be some sort of order within this town. Village, I should say. So the Night Court is kind of their government or their religion or something of the sorts.
Yeah, and we see that there are 4 Night Court spokesmen. They have divided their village into quadrants, and each spokesperson brings concerns from their people in the quadrant before the other 4 elders. And they speak about it that way. And we learn that the Pastel family, who is Sherbet's family, has complained again about Lacey's home. And at that point, Lacey barges in to scream about the acid rain.
Yeah.
And not only do they not take her seriously, it seems that they have dismissed Lacey's concerns quite a long time ago, and then this is not the first time that she has gotten hints that the rain's coming.
No, she must talk about it all the time. Yeah. It's an obsession for her. Her mother has this book that she says it, and it's all Lacey can really think about.
Right.
I like how Lacey speaks rapidly and just, it's almost, if it was in person, you would think she didn't even take a breath.
Oh,
that she was just nonstop speaking.
Total motor mouth, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we learn here that actually Lacey went right from finding After and leaving her village right into this new village. She wandered away from that village, scared of what was happening there, and left with After and ended up here. So she's been here since she was a kid.
Yeah, and the elders took her in then when she was on her own, and I feel like they do start to hold that against her as the book goes on.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't we be respected because we helped save you?
Like we took you in.
Yeah.
How can you? Hold on, my phone's over there going off like crazy. Sorry, guys. Yeah, they do feel that Lacey owes a debt to them because I think that if Lacey grew up and she became like Sherbet, they wouldn't think that. But the fact that she grew up and she is the one outsider who they let in, who dresses and speaks and sells things like an outsider, makes her kind of stand out in a worse way to them.
Yeah, she doesn't fit in at all. She didn't conform to their lifestyle.
Right.
There starts to be some screams coming from outside, and everyone leaves the court to go see where it's coming from.
Yes.
And it leads to Sherbet at her glow-up party.
Yes.
Kind of like having a Sweet 16 or something like of the sorts.
Yeah, and I'll just make a comment on glow up too. Glow up ties into the mythology of the book, but also it was a joking reference to how people say that they've had a glow up now. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's both modern and futuristic here.
Yeah. And on all of the decorations of her party is cat poop.
Yep, blowing glue turds.
Yep.
Hold on, did I just say blowing glue?
I think you did. He meant glowing blue turds.
Wow. It's some blowing glue turds. Yeah, glowing blue turds. And yeah, that was this all honestly I love writer commentaries where writers get in depth about why they chose certain things. I'll be 100% honest. This came so easy to me. As soon as I imagined after and started thinking about all the funny things that cats do to put into here, I was like, oh, his turds are for sure going to be glowing blue.
Oh, yeah. And for sure going to be everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean, I'll sometimes come home and there is a trail of like zigzag turd wipes going from across the carpet, leading from the bathroom to a cat.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this is real life, you guys.
Yeah.
You know?
So Sherbet freaks out about this, obviously. After's called out, and we get to see After and his very innocent face.
As he's still wiping.
Yeah, he's trailing it.
Yeah, he's mid-scoot.
Oh, God. Mid-scoot. Lacey goes to protect him and pull him away, and Lacey accepts the responsibility and starts shoveling that poop into some wheelbarrows.
Man, I remember having to shovel poop for my dog. I would we didn't walk the dog that much. We had her in the big backyard play, like chase her around and she'll run there, and she would poop in the backyard and we shovel it up. Yo, the amount of poop that Lacey would have to shovel is insane here.
Oh yeah.
And every day, too, because look at the size of After.
Oh, yeah. And I love the last image here of After using his tail to help drag one of the wheelbarrows.
Yes. And Lacey's line here perfectly encapsulates how she speaks about After. She says, I'm mad at you, buddy. Best friend in the world. Love of my life. Ugh. She can't not shower him in affection, you know?
No.
And then we see the cutest image of him ever.
Oh, so cute.
Apologetic next to the hole of cat poop. Yeah, she has what appears to be a very, very, very deep, very piled high load of cat poop. And here you can almost kind of understand why everyone doesn't like her that much.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you live in this village where there's just a pile of cat poop in a hole.
Yeah.
And we're trying to act like that doesn't smell and stink up the whole place.
Definitely. And then at the end, as we find out that Elder Beneventi and Elder Rose already have made the call to have Lacey's house torn down and have After banished, we at least get some nuance here as Rose talks about how she doesn't want to do this. It hurts her heart. And then Elder Beneventi just feels like she's speaking for the people, you know?
Yeah, that's the torn thing. I don't necessarily think that they're bad people, but they have everybody to take into consideration. And at this point, they're just fed up with her stubbornness. They keep telling her what needs to happen, and she won't listen.
I just went to the next page, and I see after playing with this bulbous fruit that Lacey tells him if he breaks open, he'll smell like Asiago cheese for a week.
Yeah.
Just looking back, I can't believe I specifically said Asiago, you know?
I know. I remember when I was editing it, and I was down with it,
yeah.
though. I was just like, yeah,
it's
why
specific.
not?
It's
yeah.
specific. It's quite the smell, you know?
It is.
Yeah, so then let's skip ahead a bit. We see Lacey. She is not called into a meeting of court because they are making the motion to pass on her house essentially being condemned, you know?
Yeah. It's another moment where, she's not included, but yet she rushes in.
Yes.
She probably thinks it's another thing like last time.
Right.
But this time it's 100% about her, and they are calling the shots.
Yeah, they banish After from there. He is no longer allowed to live in the village, and
which means her too. You know, and it's like that's what's crazy. Like they think that maybe, I don't know. They wouldn't think that she would give him up.
I think Beneventi might think she would give him up.
For her own safety or something. But no, once she finds out that he's not allowed there anymore, she's gone. Yeah. She will leave with him. They'll be outsiders together.
Oh, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would too, yeah.
Yeah, say if my apartment complex was like, no more of the cats, you gotta get out. I'm like, peace.
Yeah.
I'm gone. I'm gone. Yeah, so then we see the scene of them tearing her place down because Lacey makes the point, though, that her place is for everyone, saying that the acid rain is coming, and she has this metal that's fortified with the radioactive waters, saying that this is what will protect you from the acid rain. Your wooden houses won't. It'll eat through that. If you go into my place, that'll protect you.
Yeah.
And if you take it down, there's nothing to protect any of us. And this is when her excitement about the acid rain goes from, I'm about to prove my mom right, to we're in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this place is huge, like we said, because After is inside of it also, but it is built to house the whole village.
Exactly. Yeah, it's huge. And you can see how small the people look in comparison to it. But, oh man. So Lacey tries to resist, and she ends up knocking Elder Rose
into the poop pile.
She knocks two elders into the poop pile, and that is about it. She is like, well, no saving this.
Yeah,
you know?
She ended in literally the worst note.
Yeah, so she and After leave, and they, I mean, you can actually follow their journey in the map in the back, but their journey, they take the safest path of a treacherous journey. Because the truth is, they went from one village to another village.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other stuff out there. You know?
This isn't they aren't the only people. No. There's just, the villages are separated by such treacherous lands that a lot of people don't want to cross, or isn't safe to cross, or they don't make it across.
Yes.
Everyone's just separated, and each village does have their own vibe to them, their own rules, their own aesthetic.
Yeah. And each place in between has its own beauty and danger as well.
Yeah.
And then we move to chapter 2 called Three Shadows. We have a beautiful flower as our graphic here. Mm-hmm. So then we see one of my favorite pages, just the scene of Lacey and After. She's essentially riding him through the different areas after the village. And we see something that actually, it's funny, but it's also kind of devastating too, is Lacey's only possession that she took from her house at all is her mom's journal. And it is taken away from her with no big drama. A flying frog swoops down and grabs her satchel, and that's the end of the story.
Yeah, that's it. The book is gone, no turning back.
Yeah, and Lacey screams at him, "Hey, stupid bog frog, come back! My mom's book is in there, you jerk! Oh, my clothes are in there. Not that many clothes. You don't even wear clothes. You're naked." So she sees little insults to get that you might not think of, you know?
Yeah.
You naked ass frog. So yeah, she just keeps trying to comfort After, even though she's not feeling that comforted herself. And I love the colors here.
Yeah, the colors start to get even more brighter while we're exploring these different lands.
Yeah, I mean, look at the sunset in that one panel.
Yeah.
It's the panel after the frog takes the book. What I'm stunned by looking at this is the colors of the sunset, beautiful and realistic. And then the silhouette of the tree in the distance.
Ooh, Kaylin.
Ooh. Do it to him, you know?
So here they come across this forest. What is this forest called? Do we have that in the map?
We do indeed, yeah. The forest. I'll actually say what all these areas are called. This is the part of the book where we are exploring the areas. Lacey's hometown is called the Farmlands. She moves to the neutral territory, which is the current colony, and essentially that a neutral territory in this world means that strangers are allowed to pass through, and they'll receive help and sustenance without having to give anything back.
Yeah.
So that's what Lacey could have been, but instead they embraced her and took her in as one of their own. Parts that we don't see is that beyond the farmlands, we see a beach and an ocean and a forest. Lacey, we've seen her walk through the bog, and she's entering into the flowery path. And that is essentially a forest that's bordered with flowers. And the forest kind of borders this whole thing and snakes in between here and there. So everything is essentially an area in a forest. So we see her go from neutral territory to a forest, bog, forest, flowery path, forest, and then this next area that we'll see.
Yeah.
Going up.
The forest that she's in right now is the one that we used on our variant cover.
Right.
Everything is radioactive there, so everything is glowing. The vines, the plants, the water.
Yes.
And it's very dark in there, so After's own forehead markings will glow and everything. Yeah. So that cover was a different scene and came out awesome.
Yeah, that we wanted just a beautiful, dark, kind of like glowy cover of them just chilling. You know? And this was the perfect point in the story for it, because here the vegetation, which everyone is scared of except Lacey, is just glowing beautifully.
Yeah, and After wants to play.
Yes.
Like any kitty does.
Indeed.
And Lacey is a little concerned about that right now because although she is a goofy person, she is taking this seriously.
She knows.
She is scared and worried that they've never been here before. And, of course, there is an enemy in the forest.
Indeed. The Four Eyes.
Yeah, the four-eyed foxes.
Yes.
And they are even bigger than After in their mutation.
Yeah, actually, they're much bigger.
They're huge.
Yeah, and what I love about them is that their drool is green too.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties into how After's poop is blue, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some action here as Lacey tries to defend After, and then After it's just this one scene of them trying to defend one another. You know, she goes in front of him, he goes in front of her, and it's just this big back and forth. Little squabble.
Yeah, I mean, one of the foxes does start to pretty much cut into After.
Yeah.
He's getting beat up, scratched, bit, and Lacey's trying her best to fend them off, but she's just a small girl.
Yeah. In fact, just from the sheer size and their strength, none of them stand a chance. You know, she stabbed one of them and there's no reaction.
Yeah, they would be losing right now.
Yeah.
And wouldn't make it. But then there's a
Hey, that was good. That was good. Yeah, that was great.
There's a horn blow from different villagers.
Yes.
And what's hilarious is who the main leader is based off of, which Pat had to send me a YouTube video of. It was a lady who went viral maybe Vine or something online. For a Missy Elliott cover where she has a type of animal horn that she blows into and she sings "Work It" by Missy Elliott.
That gave me the idea for the horn, because it's like you put characters in situations and you need an out that doesn't feel like it's cheap, right? And we framed it as this: the Four Eyes encounter isn't the point. The point is Lacey meeting these characters, the Nimbone. So we needed a sort of segue there and adding the danger of the Four Eyes there. And the way to get her out was just how you can't beat them, but you can scare them. So I thought, what if you can have this horn that recreates a roar? And that idea came to me after seeing this amazing performance.
And that lady even went on to get on Ellen DeGeneres, where she performed her cover.
Beautiful, you know. And also, I'll say here too, this group is called the Nimbone, and we have one of our backers is also one of the Nimbone members. So
that's cool. Like, if I was a backer, I'd be super happy that I was part of that tribe.
Oh, I would for sure want that. And this is, the Nimbone is an all-female tribe, and they take Lacey in, you know, and they take her in a way that seems a lot more less like you'll owe us than her first instance of being taken in, you know?
Oh, definitely. They're more, you're one of us.
Exactly.
When you see them, this first shot in the forest, they have brightly colored clothes on.
Yes, good point.
And they have markings on them, like wiped with pigment onto their skin.
Yeah, which means that they too aren't afraid of this world.
Exactly.
And then we get to meet them, and they essentially point out the absurdity of how can one be banished from in neutral territory, you know? So they instantly take Lacey's side, and what is even a bigger deal to Lacey is that the leader, Biscad, who is the alpha Nimbone, she wears what appears to be a Four Eyes pelt. A probably younger Four Eyes pelt. She takes Lacey's acid rain seriously. Her prophecy seriously.
Yeah, she's not fazed by that at all. That it wasn't even a weird topic.
Not at all. She's been preparing for it. She says, I felt the sourness in the air of late. I've been taking notes. Perhaps we can compare our findings. And for Lacey to find this place that takes her seriously and helps her prepare for the acid rain and helps her map out the trajectory of it, Lacey leaves this encounter with protection, with friends, with a sense of belonging, and knowing that the acid rain is going to hit here before it hits her neutral territory home.
Yeah, so she's safe and she's prepared. It's definitely, like, that's so comforting. Like, I can't believe that she was able to find people that understood her.
Yeah.
And she starts to write in a journal now, just like her mom.
Sure does, yeah.
She had never really done that before, but she feels embraced, and she can now speak freely and get her thoughts out, and is keeping track of them in a journal.
Yeah, and now I feel like she feels the push to make one because she doesn't have her mom's anymore.
Yeah, she lost hers.
I love in this montage where you see Lacey's new writing, where one is a scene where she's talking about Sherbet, and she writes that Sherbet is perfect and beautiful soul. I miss her. And then she wrote, and the way she smells, and then crossed it out.
Very, very silly.
And my favorite part, though, is that there is a scene where Lacey proudly watches as Nimbone even find a use for Afterglow's, for After's poop.
Yeah.
They use it as a fertilizer, though After thinks it's very suspicious.
Yeah. But yeah, like we said, they use pigments from the flowers to even cure After's wounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Now here they are using After's poop as fertilizer.
Exactly.
They're completely embracing the world around them.
100%. And then you see they've built It's not as big as Lacey's structure was, because Lacey had been building that for years. Was what we alluded to. But here, over the weekend, they built a structure that can house all of them and after, and protect them from the acid rain.
Yeah, I'd imagine that they're a smaller village. They don't have as many people as the neutral territory. So this is fine. It'll suffice what it needs to.
Definitely. And we see flying in the air through this whole chapter is that creature from the prologue, who is still in silhouette, and the creature is essentially following Lacey, and she seems to get very triggered when After starts to do his suckling purr thing. She hears it from afar, and she lets out a growl.
Yeah. Everybody's inside the house that they built here. The screaming, screechy sound that this creature makes is now happening, and Beskad inside is ready to face this. She's telling everyone to be prepared. She knows that this is something separate.
Yes.
That they're now about to be attacked while they're trying to avoid acid rain.
Exactly.
And yeah, shit hits the fan right now. The creature absolutely starts to destroy this place.
Oh, yeah.
Breaks in, which is... You're scared of him, but now you also know that you're scared that rain could get in here, too. Exactly.
There's a big hole in the front of the structure.
Yeah.
Now. And we also get our first big shot of the creature. It's still in silhouette, but we see that it's a cat for sure.
Yeah.
And we see that it has a blue glow to its eyes and its saliva, sort of the same way that the Four Eyes had the same consistent glow between their markings and their saliva.
Yeah, this radioactive material really seeps into everybody's bodies. It changes their insides and everything.
Yeah, and we see that this creature, Lacey remembers it as the creature that destroyed her home.
Yeah, she gets the flashback of it.
Yeah. And then the creature is stuck in there, and Lacey just goes in front of Atcher and says, "Stay back," because this creature, she knows that it's bigger than Atcher, and she's scared of losing him the same way that she like lost her family, you know?
Yeah, when the foxes were in the woods, After had some guts and did try to protect Lacey and fight back, but this time he feels that it's not the right time. He's scared.
He's hurt,
and when Lacey says it too, like no, like this is not the time to fight. Like we have to protect ourselves. He looks very scared.
He does, yeah, because he knows that she gets hurt. She gets a part of her leg is pierced by this creature, but it comes to a stop when, as predicted, a drop of acid rain falls from the sky and lands on this creature's leg. And I gotta shout out again to Jim Campbell here. The way that he did the sizzle of the rain eating into the flesh without making it like gross. It's just, you know what's happening. The sound effects matches what it would sound like. He somehow captures the sound in the text.
It's
incredible. It's incredible, yeah.
It's this burn sizzle sound.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Kaylin Smith she's managing to capture so much of the creature's emotion without even showing it really, you know?
No, I know. You can tell that he's writhing in pain from it burning his skin.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the creature flies away, and Lacey is hurt but helped out when they use some of the healing properties of their local flowers, their radioactive flowers.
Yeah, this part they basically, I think she eats it, and it sends her into a slight trip. Almost as a magic mushroom in a way.
Exactly, yeah. And this scene is just lovely.
This is the coolest next 2 pages. I think they're beautiful. Kaylin went for this pink tone with the color of the flower, and then the blue of After's symbols on his head, and it's gorgeous. We couldn't believe it when she sent these 2 pages in. We were speechless. There was no notes at all. It was just perfect.
It was perfect. I might say I've never been happier to receive pages than these 2 pages.
I agree.
Yeah. And they, through this scene, and I want to ask you what do you think about this? But through this scene, After and Lacey have a bit of a conversation that it could be just Lacey's dream, but it could be like them mind melding. Like, what do you think?
I do think it's both in a way. Yeah, that's a toss up. I mean, After is able to pretty much speak to Lacey in this trance or dream that she's in, and is comforting her in a way. She's also dressed in her mother's clothes.
She sure is. She sure is. Yeah, because they end up talking about mothers, because Lacey, of course, is After's mother. You know?
Yeah.
And but they end up talking about After's birth mom, and Lacey asks him if he remembers anything about her, and he says no, just the absence of her, the longing. And then he starts talking about how he wonders about her, but he doesn't know if he would want to meet her because he'd be disappointed because no one could be Lacey, you know, because he's her real mother.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that for me is the essence of what it is to have a pet like a cat or a dog that you really like, that becomes your child, you know. And I mean, honestly, any animal that you really accept as your child, like I knew this one guy who had a spider monkey type deal, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, but this, like Helen Smith said, you know, it's all about the fur babies.
Mm-hmm.
It's all for the fur babies. So yeah, beautiful scene, and this scene is what leads Lacey to make the next move, because as Shannon said, we resolved Lacey's emotional hole in chapter 2. She got her happy ending, you know. The acid rain happened, they survived. They're rebuilding. After's okay. She has found a place where she belongs. But After points out in her dream sequence that what your mother would do is go back to the neutral territory and help them too. Yeah. And because the story could have ended here, and she could have let them defend for themselves, but that was never who she was, you know?
Yeah, like the Nimbone village was destroyed everywhere else. Yeah. They have to rebuild all the houses. They were safe inside the building they built, but Lacey knows that her, not so much friends, but people back in the neutral territory aren't prepared, and that they're going to get hurt. Right. So she takes that responsibility to go help them.
Exactly. And this shot of her riding After speeding off is so epic.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because he's so cute and kind of rotund, but it's still so epic, you know? Yeah. And this page, just from writing it, from that perspective, it was very helpful to have Lacey's journal as a tool. So I didn't want narration in this book because I wanted some of the action scenes to kind of just sit with you and you to live in them, rather than hearing Lacey's thoughts. But having her journal during the scenes where she would have a bit more time to have written about something, like her goodbye to the Nimbone here, that was helpful to get a bit more depth of her emotion there.
Yeah, that worked perfectly. The chapter 3 is called Chasing the Storm.
Yeah, then when you see the graphic for the first time, it does just appear to be that creature who attacked. But later on, when you go back, this image will have more significance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The position.
Exactly. So, yeah, Lacey returns to her home, and we repeat that sequence of her going through the different areas, but instead of having this lighthearted scene of frogs stealing bags, instead we get this dark, foreboding scene where she sees the storm coming. So she's doing what the chapter is called. She's chasing the storm. She's trying to beat it there first, so she can warn everyone what's coming.
And I like there's a confidence and a determination going on here. She's actually yelling while going through the woods.
Yes.
Listen up, Four Eyes of the Woods. I am Nimbone, and we're on a mission, so leave us alone. And she's calling herself Nimbone. You know, she found them, and she is part of them, and has joined them. And it sees it as a power. Like, that's strength to her, being part of this community and having something to call herself. She didn't have a name for who she was besides her own name, but she wasn't part of something. She can now say, I am Nimbone, and
Very
like
true.
fear me, like don't test me to anybody in the woods.
That's 100% true. And if you think about it, that even really ties in more to the idea of the Nimbone being these people who embrace the new world, and the neutral territory not, because the neutral territory doesn't even have a name.
No.
You know, they haven't even settled on who they are.
No, yeah.
So yeah, Lacey goes to the territory, and it is kind of messed up here, you know? There's a body slumped against the structure. Their windows broken. There's no one around except the looters who we saw in the first scene of chapter 1.
Yeah, she definitely thinks it's weird. She doesn't know why the town looks like this if the acid rain didn't come yet. But then the looters come right into the scene, and they're pointing guns at her and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and we learn here that they've shot 3 people, and they're about to shoot Lacey as well. And After is not about that. And this is not a situation that Lacey thinks is too dangerous. She lets After just destroy them. And that's it for them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we these looters played a dual role. They were a red herring, because the idea was that Lacey comes back expecting trouble once she sees this, and then the problem solved quickly. So she settles into this sort of sense of calm that I'm going to rest and then figure out how to help whoever's left. I'm going to look for people and hope that they're okay. And then that sense of calm is interrupted when she wakes up to the town's coming back now that the looters are gone, and they see Lacey there and After, and they remember that they last saw Lacey and the looters speaking, and they make a dark tie between Lacey and the looters, kind of blaming her for what happened. Just because she's back, and it seems like, why would you be back if you weren't involved in this? You know?
They think it's just too much of a coincidence that they had been seen together, and they wonder if she made some type of a deal with them, or let them in knowing what they were going to do, and it was almost like a revenge thing for her.
Right.
In between this, we see a quick image of the creature walking in the woods. This creature is injured from the acid rain, and just slowly scuffling along.
Yeah. We see. It's very the sort of I hate this phrase, but it's true. The piss and vinegar has been taken out of it.
Yeah.
And what's kind of foreboding about this is that everything is happening for Lacey at once. She doesn't know everything's happening, but watch. Lacey wakes up. The town is back, and they have tied After up. The storm is essentially here. Lightning strikes. The skies are green. And the creature is leaving the woods and going through the bog now, which we know is on the way to the town.
Yeah.
So everything is coming.
At once.
Yeah. And then it happens. Then the acid rain starts. As soon as Lacey starts arguing with what's going on, Elder Beneventi gets that classic Jim Campbell to the shoulder, and this gets kind of dark. You know, it's a hard scene to. It was a hard scene to write, and it's a hard scene to see in the art. Because as the rain starts pouring, and people are out there, and they're running for safety. They're hurt. Their skin's blotching up, and you see After on the ground, tied up, yowling.
Yeah, I mean, the elder at the top of this page is saying, no, it can't be that this rain is coming down right now. And then at the bottom of the page, it says, listen to her, go, like run and get under cover. And it's just that complete contradiction right there of like, didn't believe her to immediately then believing her.
Yep.
It's nuts. Like,
yeah, she's like, it took
being slapped in the face with it, pretty much.
Yeah, she wouldn't believe it till it was too late.
Yeah.
And now it's too late. And I love, though, you see Elder Rose, who is the one who was pushed into the turds, the same one who felt bad about banishing Lacey, is the one that goes, wait, the cat.
Yeah, and they're actually trying to pull Lacey away to come under coverage here, and she's totally pulling back, like, no, I have to go get my son, my cat.
And you see, even Sherbet goes to try to help her too, and her dad tells her no. So Lacey's out there alone, trying to bring After in, and After rips off his binds, but he sees that Lacey couldn't have even... She collapsed before getting to him.
Yeah, from the pain of it.
Yeah, I mean, you see her skin's messed up.
Her skin is burning, inflamed, and After at this point knows that coverage is in running distance, but still almost too far. Like he has to cover her. She can't. No more of her skin can be showing. He has to completely cover her.
Yeah. So he essentially plays it as he's trying to sacrifice himself to protect her, and as she holds him, she knows what he's doing, and she begs him not to. But then when she accepts it, she just holds him, and he starts to suck on his leg the same way that he did when she first picked him up.
Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah, very, very sweet. It was a very hard scene to write because I know that a lot of people don't like scenes where animals get hurt in movies and TV, and I didn't want to do one of those here. But I feel that the way that it was handled, especially the way that it resolves, was a way that anyone would be happy with, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
It's emotional, it's sweet, and After tried to make the sacrifice, but he doesn't get to because someone else comes in here.
Yeah, so the creature starts to approach here and even starts to run, like a lunge almost.
Yeah.
And they think, like, shit, that's it. This is the last thing we need right now.
Yeah.
We see the creature a little bit closer now. After's markings are glowing, and we see the creature has markings that are glowing right back.
Yeah.
And then...
almost in response to After's.
Yeah, as like this connection. And then a crack of lightning comes, and we fully see a lit up scene of the creature who is wounded, beat up, and is a cat with the same markings as After.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we never say it in the book, but we do show the cat giving birth. We showed essentially the same scene that we showed in the prologue of the creature limping through the forest, and then we see the cat giving birth and being attacked by a group of Four Eyes who hurt her, torture her essentially, and run off with all but one kitten.
Yeah.
So yeah, we I mean, I got texts from friends like, "Is that After's mother?" And it's like, yeah, like that's the intention, you know.
The intention is it's After's mother, and after this happened to the mother is when she went and destroyed the town,
right? Because
she, who was in pain and freaking out over having her children just stolen from her right after birthing them, takes it out on the village, and that's when Lacey's family is killed and that whole village is destroyed.
Yeah, and we see here that like...
and that's where After was found.
Exactly. And we have that context now to know that this wasn't... the attack was never malicious. It was just pure insane rage.
Yeah.
She'd been driven to the point of just white hot blind rage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she comes there, and Lacey is sure that they're going to be killed, so she says, "Please make it quick." But then the cat stretches out its wings and covers Lacey and After in its wings and begins to purr here. As you can see on the wings the smoke of the acid rising up.
Yeah, so After was covering Lacey, and now the mother is covering the both of them.
Yes, yeah.
And this next page, we have a fade off,
yes.
which is essentially, we're saying most likely. There is no complete answer here, but that the mother passes
yes.
while protecting them. And what was interesting is this page got a little bit of backlash because people thought it wasn't printed fully, but it was a effect that we used to just show the drifting off.
Yeah, we got 2 comments about that, saying that, one person asked and one person said, there's a print error on this page. And my first question was, I understand why you would think that, but did you read the book yet? And he said, no, I just skimmed.
Yeah.
And my thought is, honestly, if you read the book, you know what happened.
Yeah.
And that it isn't a mistake.
You get what it alludes to.
Yeah, especially because the next scene, it fades in, but over the white, the text is there. Mm-hmm. Right? So how could that be a mistake if the text is there?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that if you read it and really seek to follow the flow of the story, you'll definitely see why we chose that.
Yeah.
We wanted to fade to white because we don't have to see the sacrifice. We see After's mother close her eyes and we see essentially what she sees.
Yeah, exactly. When they wake up this next day, the Nimbone have come to the territory to help. They know that the acid rain is probably past now, and they want to see if anybody needs help and how it went.
And After did need help,
Yeah,
and
they patched them up,
absolutely.
used some of their salve to heal.
And you see now Lacey has a mark on the same eye that her mom had too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It has the scar.
Definitely. And Lacey's skin is a bit messed up, but she will survive. And the Nimbone have brought medication that this town would have once never thought to use.
Yeah.
But so it's nice to see some progress there.
For sure. And we have a heartwarming scene with Sherbet and Lacey here, where Sherbet even kisses Lacey on the cheek. Kind of just happy that she survived. I mean, Sherbet wanted to help, but was too scared. Yeah. And Lacey is probably who she looks up to now. It used to be Flip Flop.
Absolutely.
But now, I mean, Sherbet probably thinks Lacey's the strongest girl in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and because Lacey was discounted and she just rose above that. She stuck to who she knew she was and who she just believed in her mother. She believed in the things that she was taught. And we end here with just more of embracing the new,
Yeah.
I wanted to sort of more solidify After's tie to his mother. And Beskad, when healing After, tells Lacey that under a layer of blubber, something had burst through, something that was always going to happen. He was always going to grow into maturity. But After sprouts 2 wings like his mom had.
Yeah, and I almost feel like that was what the mom passed off when she was holding them. Yeah. Like her energy, her magic of her helped him mature in that moment. I mean, he showed his maturity by wanting to protect Lacey,
Absolutely.
Even not being scared and taking the initiative. And he's coming into his own teenage kitty.
There we go.
And sprouts these wings. So now that really solidifies that was his mother too. That's the answer to that.
Yeah, and Lacey's journal here. I'm once again glad to have the journal because here we can really just. We didn't have this during that final action scene. We didn't have it during Lacey trying to save After. We didn't have it during After's attempted sacrifice. We didn't have it during his mom's sacrifice. But now, as things are finally calmed down, we see her writing, and she writes more on the topic of the theme. if everything stayed the way it was, things wouldn't be like they are right now. And you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. And that's how we end the book.
Yeah, pretty much like that.
Yeah, we do have some extras, this beautiful map by Jude Vigance, who really helped us with the lay of the land. And what I love about this map is this is the specific area. There's a whole world to see, so if we do revisit this, there's much more to explore.
Yeah, there definitely is. And this is the first time we did behind the scenes sketches in the back of one of our books. We have some beginning sketches by Kaylin, who also, her process is incredibly impressive.
So cool to watch, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch. It's very clean. When she sends over an image, you pretty much have a direct idea about how it's going to look. Some artists will make a very rough draft.
Yes.
It's a very clean process.
Yeah, her layouts are very, very...
Yeah.
I mean, once you see layouts, you know how it's going to look.
Yeah, you just know.
Yeah. Sometimes I see layouts and my answer is I got to see pencils to know what it's going to look like.
Right, yeah. And then it's amazing to see her go from a black and white sketch to adding color, and how well she did with her color choices, how vibrant they were and true to the book. We have some pictures of Neil, who After was inspired by here.
Yes.
Very cute.
Love it. Yeah, and listen, I was glad to have this feature because Kaylin Smith is the true star of Afterglow. She made the world shine in such a beautiful way. So I want to shout out to Kaylin Smith for giving us some beautiful work here.
Thank you, Kaylin. We have our thank you page in the back.
Yes.
That is from our Kickstarter backers. Mm-hmm. All of our books are put on Kickstarter to get funded, crowdfunded, and we are incredibly happy with the responses that we've got, and are appreciative of everybody that lends a helping hand.
Yeah, this was our most backed book.
Yeah.
We Destiny New York has made a bit more financially, but backer number wise, the most amount of people backed Afterglow.
Yeah.
Incredible. So thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for trying new ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll end this with my final thought is just that I wrote this, with I had a lot of intentions for what we were doing with the themes in mind, as far as embracing changes in the world, embracing who you are, and also really finding connections between yourself and your family. But also, I wanted to do a sort of reflection of what it means to have a birth mother and what it means to have a chosen mother with Lacey. Because I, as a lover and father to 5 cats, I feel such a sense of love and protection for them that there's no way for me to describe how it feels. So this book is how it feels. I wrote this book to encapsulate, capture how it feels to love an animal.
Yeah, I feel like it's very widely related to. You can't read this book and not understand the emotion behind it, and relate. As a side note, this is also, I believe, one of the first books that we started to add stuff in the back for previews of things coming soon. Yes. And we actually have CLONSTERS on the back page we have a volume 2, and it's out right now on Kickstarter.
Yes.
For
right
the month.
now, you guys.
Yeah. So back that too.
Yeah, go check it out, please.
It's also a all ages book like Afterglow. So if you like this, you will possibly like that as well.
Woohoo! Yeah, thanks for listening, and that is the Afterglow commentary.
Thank you.
Space between.